Billy Hayes was a young American, full of wanderlust. He craved adventure, always seeking new experiences and places to explore. His heart was set on discovering the world beyond the familiar confines of his home. In the early 1970s, his adventurous spirit led him to Turkey. This was a time when the world was opening up to travelers, and Turkey was a destination that promised both mystery and excitement. The year was 1970. The world was changing rapidly, and young people like Billy were eager to be a part of that change, to experience life in ways their parents never had. It was a land of ancient history and vibrant culture. From the bustling markets to the serene ruins, Turkey offered a rich tapestry of experiences that were both educational and exhilarating. For Hayes, it was a world away from his familiar life in the United States. The sights, sounds, and smells were all new and intoxicating, a stark contrast to the suburban life he had known. Little did he know, this trip would change his life forever. What started as a journey of exploration would soon become a tale of survival and resilience. Turkey in the 1970s held a certain mystique. It was a place where the old world met the new, where ancient traditions coexisted with modern influences. It was a crossroads between East and West. The country was a melting pot of cultures, a place where different worlds collided and created something unique. For many young travelers like Billy, it was a stop on the hippie trail. This overland route was a rite of passage for those seeking to expand their horizons and find themselves. This overland route was popular. It connected Europe to Asia, and for many, it was a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment. It promised adventure and cultural immersion. Travelers could experience the rich traditions of the East while still feeling the familiarity of the West. For Billy, it was a chance to experience something new, to break free from the ordinary. He was eager to immerse himself in a culture so different from his own. He was captivated by the exoticism of the East, the vibrant markets, the ancient architecture, and the warm hospitality of the Turkish people all left a lasting impression on him. Like many young adventurers, he was drawn to the allure of the unknown. The promise of new experiences and the thrill of stepping into uncharted territory were irresistible to him. October 7, 1970, was a day that would forever be etched in Billy Hayes' memory. It was a day that started like any other, filled with the excitement of returning home after an adventurous trip. Little did he know, his life was about to take a drastic turn. What began as he prepared to board a plane back to the United States at Istanbul's Yeşilköy Airport turned into a nightmare. Turkish authorities apprehended him. The bustling airport, once a gateway to freedom, became a scene of chaos and fear. They found packages of hashish strapped to his body. The discovery was shocking, and the reality of his situation began to sink in. The authorities were relentless, and there was no escape. His heart pounded in his chest. Panic set in. The once vibrant and lively airport now felt like a prison, and the faces around him blurred into a sea of judgment and suspicion. The weight of his situation became horrifyingly clear. The dream of returning home was replaced by the grim reality of a Turkish prison. The crowded yard, filled with desperate faces, was a stark contrast to the freedom he had taken for granted. His adventure had taken a dark turn. The vibrant streets of Istanbul, once filled with wonder and excitement, now seemed like a distant memory. The handcuffs were cold and unyielding, a symbol of his new reality. He was facing drug smuggling charges in a foreign land. The courtroom was intimidating, and the language barrier only added to his fear. The judge's stern gaze and the unfamiliar legal proceedings made him feel helpless. The Turkish legal system was swift. Billy was found guilty. The verdict was delivered with an air of finality, and there was no room for appeal. The realization that his fate was sealed hit him like a ton of bricks. He received a sentence of 4 years and 2 months in a Turkish prison. The sound of the prison bars closing behind him was deafening, a harsh reminder of his new life. His dreams of adventure were shattered. The cell was small and confining, a stark contrast to the open world he had once explored. The broken suitcase symbolized his broken dreams. The harsh reality of prison life set in. The daily routine was monotonous and grueling, and the other inmates were a constant reminder of the danger that lurked around every corner. Gone was the allure of the exotic. The once enchanting city of Istanbul now seemed like a distant dream, replaced by the cold, hard reality of his prison cell. The barred window was his only connection to the outside world. He was now trapped in a harsh and unforgiving world. The prison yard, with its high walls and barbed wire, was a constant reminder of his captivity. The loneliness was overwhelming, and the days seemed to stretch on forever. The weight of his actions pressed down on him. Regret and guilt were his constant companions, and the reality of his choices was inescapable. The once carefree adventurer was now a prisoner of his own making. He was alone, scared, and thousands of miles away from home. The distance from his loved ones was a constant ache, and the fear of the unknown loomed large. The once bright future now seemed bleak and uncertain. Life in Turkish prison was brutal. The conditions were harsh. The guards were often cruel. Billy was surrounded by despair. He was a stranger in a strange land. The language barrier was immense. Communicating with fellow inmates and guards was a daily struggle. He clung to the hope of returning home. This hope fueled his determination to survive. He was transferred from one prison to another. Each prison presented its own set of challenges. He was exposed to the underbelly of the Turkish penal system. He witnessed violence, corruption, and the depths of human despair. His spirit was tested, yet he refused to be broken. He clung to hope. He knew he had to escape. Even in the darkest of places, hope can flicker. For Billy, hope came in the form of a plan. He began to meticulously plot his escape. He studied the prison routines. He observed the guards. He searched for any vulnerability, any opportunity. His every thought was consumed with escape. He befriended other inmates. Some became his confidants. They shared information. They provided support. He knew he couldn't do it alone. Escape would require trust and collaboration. Every whispered conversation, every stolen glance, brought him one step closer to freedom. Section 5. The Escape, a Harrowing Flight to Freedom. After a failed attempt in 1972, which landed him in the notorious Sagmalciller prison, Billy Hayes found himself in a dire situation. The prison was infamous for its harsh conditions and brutal treatment of inmates. Billy's resolve to escape intensified. The walls of the prison seemed to close in on him, but his spirit remained unbroken. He spent countless hours staring out of the small barred window, dreaming of freedom. He would not be deterred. The thought of spending the rest of his life in that hellish place was unbearable. He knew he had to find a way out, no matter the cost. He continued to observe, to plan, and to wait for the right moment. Every day, he meticulously noted the guards' routines, the shifts, and the weak points in the prison security. On October 2, 1975, Billy's moment arrived. He seized the opportunity. Under the cover of darkness, he made his move, his heart pounding in his chest. His heart raced with fear and adrenaline. Each step he took was fraught with danger, but he pushed forward, driven by the hope of freedom. He navigated the prison's labyrinthine corridors. He dodged guards, slipping into the shadows whenever he heard footsteps approaching. Each step was a gamble. One wrong move could mean capture, and a fate worse than death. But Billy was determined. He had come too far to turn back now. He had to make it out. The thought of freedom was the only thing that kept him going. He sprinted towards the gate, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He reached the outer wall. It loomed high above him, but he didn't hesitate. He knew this was his last obstacle. He scaled it, dropping onto the other side. He was free. The cold night air filled his lungs as he took his first breath of freedom in years. But his journey was far from over. The world outside the prison was just as dangerous. He had to stay vigilant, always on the move. He was a fugitive in a foreign land. He had to disappear. Blending into the crowd, he moved through the city, always looking over his shoulder. He had to get home. The road ahead was long and fraught with peril, but Billy Hayes was determined to make it back to his family, to the life he had been torn away from. Section 6. Midnight Express, From Reality to Global Phenomenon. In 1977, Billy Hayes's harrowing tale of survival and escape was immortalized in his autobiographical book, Midnight Express. The book was a raw and unflinching account of his experiences. It captivated readers worldwide. It was a story of resilience, determination, and the will to survive against all odds. The book was a critical and commercial success. It became an international bestseller, making Billy Hayes a household name. However, it also sparked a great deal of controversy, particularly in Turkey, where it was seen as a scathing and exaggerated portrayal of the country's justice system and prison conditions. Section 7. Life After the Escape. Billy Hayes, Beyond the Midnight Express. The success of Midnight Express brought Billy Hayes into the public eye. He became an advocate for prison reform. He spoke out against the injustices he had witnessed. He used his platform to raise awareness about the plight of prisoners. However, he also struggled with the psychological scars of his ordeal. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, haunted him. He grappled with the memories of his imprisonment. The experience had left an indelible mark on his psyche. Section 8. The Midnight Express Legacy, a cultural touchstone and controversy. Midnight Express transcended the page. In 1978, the book was adapted into a film directed by Alan Parker. The film was a commercial success. It garnered critical acclaim. It received 6 Academy Award nominations. It won 2 Oscars. The film further cemented the story of Midnight Express in popular culture. It became a cautionary tale about the dangers of drug smuggling and the harsh realities of prison life. However, the film also faced criticism for its graphic violence and its portrayal of Turkish people. Many argued that it reinforced negative stereotypes and fueled prejudice against Turkey and its people. Section 9. The Unfolding Aftermath. Impact and Reflections on a Life Altered. The story of Billy Hayes and Midnight Express continues to resonate with audiences today. It serves as a reminder of the human cost of crime and punishment. It highlights the importance of compassion and understanding in a world often quick to judge. Billy Hayes' journey is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It is a story of survival, redemption, and the power of hope, even in the face of adversity. His story continues to spark debate and reflection on issues of justice, cultural sensitivity, and the lasting impact of our experiences.